How does this make our customers' lives easier? I'm unlikely to be telling you anything new today, but the aim is to deliver a message that encourages you to just go out there and do it and prove your worth through delivery, which is the summit's theme. So let's kick off with 3 slides of facts and figures to set the scene we're all familiar with, which is the digital revolution we're all a part of. Whether we're talking data, mobile, social, internet usage, or anything related to new school marketing, it's next to a graph that points to the sky. The world has changed, and it's not slowing down, it's accelerating. Soon commerce will be all about economic avatars, meaning transactions will be between digital identities with no cards and no cash. The phone, which has become the most dominant channel, will take over. If we had the time, I would enjoy giving an hour presentation on disruptive innovations happening today. The Internet of Things, or better called the Internet of Everything, MCX, Next Generation Multi-Core Optimization, the BLE Revolution, or Bluetooth Low Energy, tokenization, HCE, or further than this, the personal cloud, which is quite exciting. If I could pinch a quote from William Gibson that sums up all of the disruptive technology that I just mentioned and the plethora that I didn't even touch on, it is that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. Customers are using a combination of online and offline to make decisions, so we have to make it easy for them. The underlying primary point of this presentation is that we need to help buyers buy. The opportunity for us as marketers is with the efficiency of the shopper. The efficiency with which shoppers spend is the same as the efficiency with which the store sells. Help a shopper buy, and both parties benefit from the exchange. I'm going to go a little against the instructed grain here in regards to products and services that surprise and delight, and campaigns that engage and amaze. Forget about it. Only a small percentage of this kind of marketing works. My advice is to focus on the efficiency and the efficiency of the shopper. Another thing I'm going to recommend is to strive for good. Perfection will quickly derail and destroy a project. Focus on efficiency with things like navigation, being suggestive both online and offline. Focus on driving the top selling products and services because they're the ones that people want to buy, so help the shopper buy them. And look at ways to speed up the sales process. You have to do this by focusing on the customer and making their life easier. I heard Carol Kane speak a fortnight ago. She's a fashion designer and the CEO of Boohoo.com. She said something that really resonated with me, and that was, I didn't understand anything about marketing, but I did know the customer. So here we have the CEO of one of UK's top 5 retail pure play companies, something they achieved in just a few years, and they're now global, and she admits knowing nothing about marketing, but she did know the customer. Let's go back a decade. Let's look at the purchase funnel that has been taught in universities and schools for over 100 years. I can vividly remember learning this in my Masters of Business just 5 or 6 years ago. So what is the customer journey today? Well, there is no path to purchase now. As marketers, it's all about coordination. During the Super Bowl, if you had a Samsung TV, you could buy underwear that David Beckham was advertising through the TV itself. I guess you call that T-commerce. So now we have e-commerce, m-commerce, and T-commerce. Just remember, the consumer doesn't give a shit. For them, it's just commerce. These days, if you have a good API, then almost any technology can become commerce. Customers don't see channels, they just see a brand. This reiterates that there is no longer a path to purchase, but there is a need to facilitate effective coordination. Now that we live in the age of the customer, and while we live in this new world, remember that all customers are not created equal. Much of today's change has been driven by the consumer. The customer, B2B or B2C, is time poor, attention poor, and they're savvier than ever, and they're now controlling the advertising messages which they receive. Today's customers have shown us repeatedly that if you deliver the content in the shape and channel they need, they will repay you with loyalty and advocacy. This involves content that allows them to discover, investigate, learn, interact, and engage. These customers here in the middle are just reaching out and connecting with what they want. If you don't have a presence where they desire it, someone else will connect with your customer. If this is happening, you're simply losing market share. Our customers want alternatives, peer reviews, access to user-generated content, and recommendations, so you have no choice but to give it to them. Good marketing is continually evolving. You need a multi-platform discipline, all deployed with a clear, overarching return of investment in mind. The modern consumer wants consistent, comprehensive, cross-channel customer engagement of unified, ubiquitous, connected, and synchronized experiences. That last point was a bit of a mouthful. I'll say it again. The modern consumer wants consistent, comprehensive, cross-channel consumer engagement of unified, ubiquitous, connected, and synchronized experiences. So here we have the new purchase web, a lot more complicated and less linear than the original funnel suggests. The traditional funnel I showed earlier fails to capture all the touch points resulting from the explosion of product choices and digital channels, coupled with the emergence of an increasingly discerning, well-informed consumer. They're the ones that are driving this change. So let's reverse engineer the purchase web for your business. Your business now has multiple options through traditional and digital channels. These channels have arrived with the evolution of Web 2.0 and will continue to evolve at a rapid pace as we move towards the possibility of Web 3.0, the semantic web. Mobile is the predominant channel of choice, and I'll give this channel some attention in preceding slides. I was looking at some analytics figures for the mobile platform recently for our own TireRight site and counted well over 200 handsets with multiple operating systems. So responsive design and content across all devices is now just digital hygiene. Touch points, many to consider. This is where the customer fits in, who is a major catalyst in driving the change. They dictate what push and pull tactics you need to make to ensure engagement. Engagement is key here. There is no such thing as conversion without engagement. What happens in one channel needs to be recognized in another, and people do want different experiences in various channels and at different touch points. What needs to be considered now is a more sophisticated approach to help marketers navigate this environment. While the new digital web is less linear and more complicated than the original funnel suggests, I have created this illustration to focus on this area. The goal is to use the new purchase web to retain relationship value and increase yield from the customer relationship. The traditional funnel concentrated on the lead up to purchase. Today, there is a much bigger focus on post-purchase, focusing on after-sales service and preparing the buyer for a repeat transaction. Much of the new purchase web is based on customer search and research, which is readily available anywhere and anytime. This has become a much more significant step in the purchase process through search engines, content sites, comparison shopping, user reviews and ratings, affiliate sites, retailer sites, and social media. Steps are not always in the traditional order either, such as customers seeking opinion from peers through social at any stage, or showrooming in store and buying elsewhere. So the goal is to support your customer through the selection process so they feel informed and empowered before they make a decision. This is paramount. Long-term loyal customers spend 13% more, so focus on these customers and ask the question at each touch point you create and engage with, how does this make our customers' lives easier? I'm just going to flick through these slides because in the live presentation I'll go through them in detail, but if you want to know more about what we're doing at tireright.com.au, please contact me through my Twitter handle. Let's move on to content. The underlying principle of customer engagement is content. So this is not groundbreaking news. Content marketing has become even more important of recent years and months. But you have to get this right. Content in context. This is where it's at. Consumers are gravitating towards content convenience. There is a groundswell of consumer control and choice. Connected consumers are coming of age. We need to take our cues from the connected generation and deliver them the content in context, when and where they want it. Getting this right will make our customers' lives easier. With multiple releases of Penguin, Panda and Hummingbird, which included an update last Wednesday, and more algorithm changes on the way, it's more important than ever to get content in context right. Apart from Larry Page, Matt Cutts, and a few geeks in Mountain View, nobody else knows the 200 plus factors in the Google algorithm, and it's constantly changing. However, if we could sum the algorithm up in one word, it would be relevancy. Create a site with high value information that elicits links by virtue of its awesomeness. That, my friends, is content marketing. It's top-notch content with power, authority, and value. You need to improve overall SEO, and that does include a bunch of stuff. Site structure, navigation, breadcrumbs, URL structure, meta tags, header tags, word count, keywords, alt tags, internal linking, removing toxic backlinks, etc. There is a whole bunch of stuff. But with a site audit that's not too expensive, that kind of stuff is relatively easy to fix up. It's the content that sits on top of this that is most important. And content in context is almighty. In order to have content marketing, you have to have lots and lots of linkable content. Domain authority, traffic, organic search results, and ranking is achieved by focusing on your content and making it good. Traditional marketing talks to people. Content marketing talks with them. Better content means better everything else. Focus on content that is going to inform your customers and help them buy. Little pieces of content or big pieces, long form or short form, textual or multimedia. A piece of advice with content: steal shamelessly. Steal content where you can. Steal the right things. Repurpose and benefit from it. When I say repurpose, as you know, Google doesn't like duplicated content. So the way I guess to describe it would be when you were pretty stretched at school or university to get an assignment in, and you may have borrowed a good friend's assignment, you probably would have altered that assignment enough so the lecturer or school teacher didn't know that you copied off somebody else. That's probably a good indication of actually changing your content enough so the Google crawlers don't recognize it being duplicated, but you've fast-tracked and getting some good quality content on your site. Take content from your competitors. Build in-depth personas to market to. Your product doesn't have to be cool, but your story does. Personally, as you know, this is a massive challenge as we market tyres. Build linkable content into landing pages. Engaging contextual content is more important than ever before. Build content that informs and solves your customers' problems. Content that helps them navigate the purchase web. Content that holds their hands all the way to the checkout and then prepares them for a repeat transaction. The rise of the mobile phone has disrupted commerce as much as the internet did. We're talking smartphones here. If mobile isn't your focus, you may have missed the boat. Look for opportunities to fill your customers' downtime with persuasive, engaging, relevant content. Video consumption on mobile is off the charts, so capitalize on this. At the moment, it's still a relatively cheap channel to play around and test with. Give it a go. Big data. Put your hand up if you work for an ASX top 200 company. Great. Your business has lots of money to do something with big data. Knock yourself out. For the rest of us, forget big data. Focus on small data and focus on customer-centric small data. So what if there's going to be 8 zettabytes of data stored globally in the next 2 years? The words big data just frighten people. Use a combination of technology and small data, data that is already in front of you, to improve the customer experience, and aim for trust, reciprocity, and commitment. Use small data for predictive analytics at the first sign of trouble, like a customer abandoning a checkout, unsubscribing, or hasn't purchased for a while, for segmentation to improve service, to help your customers navigate the journey, for loyalty programs, to demonstrate immediate value, at the first sign of life to show that you're listening, for instance, someone responding to an email, clicking on a link, engaging with social, makes your responders to show that you're listening, supplement with soft benefits, personalise, use small data to anticipate a customer's need when your customer sings your praises. Whether you do big or small data, you need to start with the same question. What are you going to do with it? If you don't have a definitive objective, then you have a solution looking for a problem. You need to be able to interpret it, and you need the resources to do it. So concentrate on data that is purely customer focused. Listen to customers. That is the data you want. I'll say that point again because it's important. Listen to customers. That's the data you want. This is how most of us use data, to see what happened yesterday. Often it's not that valuable. The more the latency, the less value of the data. The most valuable data is at the point of interaction. This is how we should use data, and it doesn't have to be big data to benefit from it. We all need to make data-led decisions, focused on the customer. And data should determine the content and marketing automation. So find the easily accessible data through the systems you already have in place. Automation. Start small, focus on the customer. Build the customer profile with automation through reviews, products and orders. This can be done with a cost-effective CMS like Sitecore. Sure, I'd love to have a single view of the customer across structured and unstructured data, but my business can't afford it. So I'll focus on the tools and prioritise platform decisions based on making my customers' lives easier. There is so much to consider with marketing operations in the age of the customer. So when you're looking at strategy, data, user experience, search, commerce, social analytics, mobile, emerging technology, start with the customer and how it will make their life easier. Gartner predicted by 2017 marketing would spend more on tech than IT. The plethora of platforms and tools here in this slide supports this prediction. While I don't think it's going to happen as early as 2017, just due to the amount of infrastructure spent on IT, I do think it's heading in this fashion. If you think about your customer and their problems and the way they want them solved, then you will naturally become more agile, innovative, and you will market and engage with the appropriate content. You'll have no choice but to start working more collaboratively and applying the right marketing technology to do so. Now you have to go from to. You need to document this and prioritise it before you start working out what tools are going to assist. One of the catchphrases we've produced and pushing through the business so all departments get on board at Tyres For You, the parent company of TyreRide, is that we are no longer just a tyre company, but a technology company that imports and distributes tyres. And this is something that's having an effect and being sort of utilised and pushed out towards the wider organisation as we're trying to drive innovation as part of our cultural DNA. To move from to, you need to innovate. Unfortunately, a word that is directly associated to innovation is change. And what effect does change have on many people in your business? Most people feel negative towards change, unfortunately. While they may be outnumbered, there is people within your business that feel like this with change. You may very well be one of them. If change evoked these feelings in everyone, then we would be adapting, innovating, and creating novel, unique selling points all the time. Change needs to come from the top. You need to get executive support and approval. If the CEO doesn't do it himself, then someone else needs the mandate and support directly from the CEO to affect change. Be smart in the way you try and achieve this. If you embrace change, as mentioned before, there is more people like you in the business. Seek each other out and identify change areas worth promoting and building business cases for. Get people and business units together. Try and find ways to bridge the gap between marketing and IT. Find a solution to a customer's problem that both departments need. Approach finance together for approval. Build a culture within the business where you can try things, test things, throw around ideas and attempt innovation. Be open to change and listen to feedback. The reason CBA win all the customer service awards hands down is because every single employee have a KPI related to customer satisfaction, even the coders that live in the dungeon. Innovation needs to be part of your DNA. This awesome quote is in line with a saying that has been thrown around of recent times. Fail fast. Fail fast has become standard entrepreneurial advice. Startups and small businesses are told they shouldn't worry about messing up because it's better to quickly realise that something's not working and move on. There are some commentators that believe this has negative connotations. I disagree. Life is full of failures and business attracts its fair share. You need to hit failure head on and hastily become better for it. This is the case for big business too. It's all about how fast you can learn. One good test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. Create an experimental environment with the primary school science methodology of aim, hypothesis, method and results. Get all the internal stakeholders working closely together. Start small and learn from failures. Create value as early as possible. Move faster than your organisation is prepared to move, and then go faster. So this is the new media landscape. It's ripe with new possibilities for marketers and business. The established structures are weakening and return on investment on traditional media is declining rapidly. Traditional media audiences are down and are splintering across multiple platforms. The rise of digital communication platforms and the expense of traditional media means there are more opportunities than ever for your company to make its message heard. Millions of conversations are taking place all around us at any one time. You can't afford not to give your brand a voice. Revolutionise how you communicate with your audience. The best way to do this is to stand in your customer's shoes when approaching everything that you do. We are living in the age of the customer. Today, the customer is always on and only ever a click away, so engage with the agile consumer. The agile consumer expects you as a brand to be everywhere, instant and personal. The agile consumer has 3 budgets: time, money and frustration. So with everything that you do, ask the question, how does this make our customers' lives easier? What I prescribe. Some more advice by Carol Kane, the CEO from Boohoo.com, that had no idea she would take her design skills into the e-commerce world and own it. She talked about fast fashion. That was her focus. Here is some advice which I will quote. Understand the market, understand competition, understand where you have an advantage, get help when needed, never make assumptions, tailor messages, travel to your markets, listen and learn something new, use the correct language, understand what your customers are looking for, find gaps, communicate with your team, be consistent with messages, and always remember your customer. Stay close to your customers and always communicate with them. In conclusion, focus on the efficiency of the shopper and help your shoppers buy. And you can only do this by becoming a listening brand. Thank you. And if you are thinking of buying tyres in the next 6 months to a year, feel free to use this promo code AMI Summit to get a 10% discount. To access this presentation, you can access this at digitoro.com.